From 2 in the afternoon, it is the daytime in Tromsø, although the sun will not rise today. The black sky has a bruised, never-ending twilight hue of deep indigo and cold slate grey. It is -15°, but considering the wind whipping off the Arctic Ocean, it feels like a flesh-freezing attack, with an index temperature of -40°. No sounds here are not silent. They are a heavy, vibrating pressure pressing on your eardrums. Then suddenly the sky rips apart. Across the horizon there are ribbons of violent neon green and spectral purple light, dancing, twisting and cascading over the jagged peaks of surrounding mountains. It's beautiful on the kind of "it causes me to ache in my chest" level. Nature in such a monumental and life whilst away populace that it's not so much a show as a cautionary tale. This is the gate at the north. This is the periphery of the habitable world. Epic geography to begin with. Running clean and silty through the North Atlantic and the Arctic Ocean, Norway is a jagged, serrated knife edge of a country from north to south, exactly 1752 kilometers long. Encompasses 385,207 square kilometers of some of the harshest, most mountainous regions in the world. But inside of these giant frontiers, there are 5.5 million people. In terms of people per square kilometer of area, this corresponds to about 15 persons, Jagt Kelemtuen. To get the picture, if you stood in the middle of the Hardangervidda Plateau, the largest mountain plateau on the continent of Europe, 6,500 kilometers, you would scream until you tore your vocal cords, but no one would hear you. How empty and how violent all across this landscape. That is what the people are who still lives in this place. This is Norway. No question of whether or not it's beautiful. The issue is, what's that staple next to? Now, the part virtually nobody visitor lets out. In Oslo, capital of Norway, you walk down Karl Johans Gate and you see them. Outside coffee shops, dozens of baby carriages, no one to even look after them. These are all the places where infants are sleeping, their little cheeks to the cold. From without, it seems as if it were grossly neglected. For Norwegian folks, it is compulsory parenting. It is called friluftsliv, the open-air living. It is an Arctic fact of life that Norwegian parents think that the below-freezing, fresh, clean Arctic air strengthens immune systems, ward off ailments, and make them better human beings in the long run. Exposed to the outside, the babies are surrounded by layers of wool so thick and scientifically designed that they are warmer inside the stroller, which is -10, than you are in your synthetic winter jacket. Here, however, is a fact more revealing of any nation than any statistic ever could be. This practice can only occur because of absolute mathematical non-existence of street-level crime. It's not that mom and dad are naive, it's because it's a society engineered to trust each other and their children placed on a sidewalk, byproducts of a century of radical wealth distribution. Hold on to that, we will get there. The daily life of a Norwegian depends on physics, the weather and biology, the food they eat. About 240 days of the year it rains in Bergen, located on the west coast. The sky does not pour, it weeps, a constant penetrating mist that seeps through waterproof membranes and into the bones. Therefore, it is a heavy, salty, and preserve-orientated diet. You are sitting in a wooden tavern with a plate of rakfisk in front of you. It is fermented trout, which is salted and allowed to rot in a sealed barrel for 3 to 12 months. The odor enters your nose like a brick wall, ammonia, decay, and heavy salt. It's served with raw onions, sour cream, and flatbread, and drunk with aquavit, a caraway-flavored potato spirit that scorches on the way down and plugs the throat like a coal in the stomach. Then there is brunost, the brown cheese. Not a sweet block of caramelized, fudge-like concentrated goat's milk whey, not a savory one. It's a block of caramelized, fudge-like, more like nothing on earth, concentrated goat's milk whey. In the cities there isn't any problem with traffic, so bicycles are more numerous than cars, and if you want to get from the fjords, you drive through the vacuum of the mountains. The Lærdal Tunnel is the world's longest road tunnel in solid rock, 24.5 kilometers into the mountain. Every 6 kilometers they create huge caverns with blue and yellow lights to alleviate the psychological fatigue of driving underground for 20 continuous minutes. Roughly half of the way up the street stands a reindeer, not at all bothered by human infrastructure. The family structure is progressive pro-homosexual. Dads must take paternity leave for up to 15 weeks or give up the cash. The state demands that you parent children equally. It doesn't ask you to. Yes, this is where the title promised it would be. You have witnessed the pictures. The tall, statuesque figures whose cheeks are sculptured, their piercing ice-blue eyes, and hair the color of bleached wheat. The genes of the helping Vikings. The truth is that it's a combination of evolutionary adaptations and a high-quality caterpillar lifestyle. However, it has selected for certain physical traits. The light skin so that it captured vitamin D, bigger bodies so it held onto heat, and clear, sharp facial features, etc., which has left them well adapted to survive in low light, low temperature world, but not as well adapted to urban life. But look closer. Norwegians are truly beautiful, not because of nature, but because of the fact that it is paid and maintained in an environment of absolute structure support. World-class and universal healthcare. It's due to having subsidized dentistry so that no one looks dented or has dull grey teeth anymore. Although a diet, it is not the corn syrup-laden garbage that besets other Western nations. They walk everywhere. They ski. When there are frozen lakes, they swim in them. The key is here, though. This desire for physical perfection and a harmonious society comes with an associated psychological straitjacket, Janteloven, or the Law of Jante. Compilation of 10 rules in 1933, unspoken since, by a Danish-Norwegian author, the most powerful cultural force in Scandinavia. Rule number 1. Do not think you are anything special. Rule number 2. Do not believe that you know as well as we do. Rule number 3. Do not assume that you know more than we do. The list continues, a relentless, systematic annihilation of personal pride, ambition, and ego. It's bad to be conspicuous in Norway. Nobody will admire you. If you go and purchase a luxury car, they will be silently judging and excluding you for your ostentatiousness. Talking big will make the neighbors rise physically. This produces an extremely stable, safe, and equal society, but at the same time a very deep and silent loneliness. What inhibits being entrepreneurial is the pressure to be average, to not be better than the rest. Beautiful the amazing people are, but it is in a glass box of feigned modesty, and they are frightened of coming across as superior to the person alongside them. A stone, and people are inscribing this resilience. Memories of ice and fire form part of the Norwegian character. In 1349, the Black Death came to Bergen on board a trade ship. It killed about 60% of all the Norwegians in 2 years. Not only did the country suffer, it was virtually emptied as well, losing its political independence to Denmark, who ruled over it for more than 400 years. But then there was 1814, when they were delivered to the Swedes like a pawn on a chessboard and hastily, non-violently proclaimed their own constitution in a search for identity. But the severest of all trials was from 1940 to 1945. Nazi Germany invaded, and for 5 harrowing years the Norwegian people starved. Competition was complete. In the winter of 1944, as the Germans retreated from the north, there was a policy of scorching the earth. They set fire to all the huts, all the schools, all the churches, and all the bridges in Finnmark. More than 10,000 homes were wiped out, and 40,000 Norwegian people had to take to the frozen tundras to escape the bombs, living off lichen and the snow. They did not break. After the war, they went back to the same destruction of ash and debris and started constructing again. Sorrow is the way to metabolize into joy, and this is the national pastime. The entire country erupts into a crazy, fun-filled celebration of children, parades and brass bands, and decides it offers no point in mourning the past tragedies, that it is all about celebrating its independence. 17 Mai, May 17th. It's time to move out of the armchair day imagination and into a spreadsheet. Dream of dwelling in the most beautifully nestled country in Europe? You're going to pay for every cubic centimeter of that chill polar air. Norway is at the top of the list of the most expensive countries in the world. Let's do some survival math. A pint of beer in a local pub in Oslo is between about 90 and 120 Norwegian kroner. That's about $9 to $12 US for the half-liter of lager brewed at home. One cheap but uninspiring cheeseburger from a fast food chain is going to cost you 130 kroner, equivalent to $13. If you find yourself in a medium-range restaurant for one meal, you can count on 400 to 600 kroner, 40 to 60s per person, before considering a bottle of wine which will double the bill. In the capital, a monthly ticket for public transport is 900 kroner. One-bedroom flat in the central area. You are looking at a minimum of 14,000 to 18,000 kroner a month, $1,400 to $1,800. Now compare with the local wage. After tax, the average Norwegian worker earns a little under 550,000 kroner a year, $55,000 USD. Yes, they earn more, but because of the crushing VAT of 25% on almost everything and service, the rate of tax on food is 15%. The economic paradox is that Norway is rich thanks to the discovery in 1969 of oil in the North Sea, which poured trillions of dollars into the state coffers and has been deposited in the world's largest SWF. However, the wealth is distributed in the form of high wages and high taxes, which leads to astronomically high price of services. That low price that you see in other countries is in another person's measurement of an hour. Norway's plumber charges $150 per hour, not because he's a greedy individual, but because his rent, his food, and his pension contribution demanded by the Norwegian government come to $150. The system is ideal for the Norwegian citizen. It's a financial hemorrhage for an outsider coming into this country. If you have reached this point and you are having fun, a like, subscribe really does help. This is the secret that the title promised. Norway's secret is not in its rough and tumble neighborhood gangs or its crime organization. The only thing Norway's maximum security prison, Holden, has in common with a typical university campus is those recording studios and cooking classes. The dark secret is of the mind. It is stillness of the icy night. It is the mørketid. To the northernmost regions north of the Arctic Circle, there comes a time in the year for 2 months when the sun may take its leave. Twilight grey colors the sky and clutching oppression around the clock. This is not good for the human brain. Norway's mental health problem is a serious one, even though they're rich, have snowy white teeth and crystal clear fjords. The suicide rate is a blip on the welfare state radar, but is often a dark stain for the communities in the remote northern counties, especially for young men. Due to the cultural taboo of janteloven, it is very hard for individuals to say they are in pain or that they are suffering, for fear of exposing a lack in their own ability to cope with Norway's norm. Seasonal depression and loneliness are conspiring behind the wall of well-insulated and heated minimalist wooden cabins with their thick, insulated doors. In such a big landscape and in a dark winter when 2 human beings are sitting next to each other, the distance can be infinite. When the light comes back, though, The essence and magnificence of this land is illogical. Norway has 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but the actual wonders are the ones formed by glaciers over millions of years. You are now in the situation of standing on the edge of Preikestolen, the pulpit rock, a flat cliff face standing 604 meters, nearly 2,000 ft, up from the Lyse fjord below. No guardrail present, there is no warning sign. The terrifying plunge into the river that left paradise is nothing more than the untamed plunge into a pool of water so deep and beautifully blue it might be liquid sapphire. This is done by a ferry trip through the Geiranger fjord, which is lined with rock faces towering over a kilometer above the water and pounding with thousands of waterfalls, such as the Seven Sisters, lining the water in parallel white walls of creamy foam. You go to Lofoten Islands, which lie north the Arctic Circle, sharp peaks that rise right out of the rough sea, surrounded by the small red wooden houses of the fishermen, the Råbur. Editor's note: Northern lights light up the sky this winter. During the summer months, the midnight sun doesn't set, and at 2:00 a.m., the material world is bathed in the hypnotizing golden glow, so that time seems to be a no-go area of the mind. The biodiversity is extreme, with polar bears walking around on the Svalbard archipelago, Arctic foxes blending in with the winter snowy white, and huge pods of killer whales coming together in the Tysfjord to hunt herring, where the black water becomes a bloody churning vortex. Here are the places to begin if this country's going to have this person. Avoid the start in Oslo. Oslo is a modern, well-to-do, functional city teeming with brutist architecture and rude cyclists, but it's not much of a reflection of Norway's soul. Start in Bergen. Surrounded by 7 mountains, wept over by that never-ending cloudy rain itself, it's the gateway to the fjords, the Bryggen, its wharf of crooked colored wooden buildings, now a UNESCO site since it had been under the Hanseatic League's control, dealing in timber trade some 700 years ago. In Bergen, you can choose the tour Norway in a nutshell via the Flam Railway, where you go up through a series of waterfalls and deep mountain tunnels and end up 866 meters above sea level. Thereafter, head north towards Tromsø, full of universities, active bars and base camp to track the aurora. It is the cultural capital of the Arctic. However, if you seek the ultimate secret, then you must take a detour from the tourist tracks and visit Røros. This is a 17th century style mining town set on a high mountain plateau and characterized by its dark timber construction. During the winter months, the streets are blocked by snow heaped against the wood roofs, and one must go by means of a trench. Practical tips: layer on. Merino wool is not a recommendation, it is survival. So, download offline maps. For the moment you go into one of the hundreds of miles of mountain tunnels, your cell goes to complete nothing. Always remember not to feed the reindeer and to be extremely cautious around the moose. They are very large and can destroy your vehicle in a split second. Well, here is the looking glass. Norway is not a nation, it is a paradox in granite and ice. It's a society that has won the struggle over poverty using oil, but at the same time has rendered it impossible to enjoy the benefits of the oil in open acknowledgement of success on public platforms. It is a land of Earth's most beautiful, genetically privileged, and psychologically chained people. They are entrained by cultural code to see themselves as completely normal. It is a natural beauty that can seem terrible and violent in darkness of winter, crazy enough to push some folks near the edge of sanity to experience an explosive light in the summer, to make some experience a communal ecstasy that can only be felt in this place on this earth, ripe as the garden of God. The high cost of living is not a coincidence. It's the price of a system that determined that human dignity and equality and safety is not up for sale, at least not for cheap burgers and easy access luxury. Perhaps the true answer is that it is not always a question of whether Norway is the most beautiful country in Europe. So it's a question of whether you've ever spent one day all alone, standing on the edge of a 2,000-foot cliff during the freezing rain and feeling completely, undeniably safe.